Several years ago, I was going through divorce. Here is a story of mine. I was going through divorce, and at the same time, within 3 months, I was supposed to finalize my divorce. I needed to sell our house that we built in a wonderful neighborhood. And I also was planning at the same time my in-person life event. And so within 3 months, I have accomplished everything, all of it very, very successfully. So I'm going to tell you what I've done a little bit here about how I followed divine guidance. One day, it was in February. One day, I just accepted the offer on the house and signed it. And that night, I was in shock, I guess. It dawned on me that, oh my gosh, what have I just done? I accepted the offer. There is no way back, and we have to move forward. And I have the family. Yes, I'm leaving my husband, but I have people to support, and these people rely on me. And so what I did was I just went to my next door neighbors. They were our friends. And I told them, I said, I have no idea where I'm going. I actually was so busy doing this and didn't think about what's next. Where are we going? So I have no idea. So and I had no realtor as well. And because I didn't, whoever sold the house, I was not going to use that realtor. So the neighbors asked me 2 questions. Where do you want to go? And what is your rent budget? Well, I was adamant to stay in the wonderful neighborhood where we lived. I really loved it. I didn't like anything else around. I was hell-bent, as they say, to stay in this neighborhood. But the problem was, this neighborhood is brand new. People are still building the houses here, so nobody was renting. Everybody was either selling or buying and building. So it was really not an established neighborhood where people already moved on with their lives. They just bought their house, they just built it. So they're not moving out yet, or they're not rather renting it out yet. But I wanted to be here, and I believed I would stay here. And the second thing was, I had no idea what my budget was. I never had a budget. I actually I lived in the house for so many years, in my own house. Before that, we owned another house. So I had no idea what rentals were, what prices were. So, and I didn't do any research. So what do? I just immediately made up a number, really made up a number in my head and said that here is my rent budget. And I want to stay in this neighborhood. And that was it. And so then we said goodbye. It was late at night, and I returned home and I let go. I knew everything will be fine because I was not alone. I had my divine signs. Well, lo and behold, the very next morning, my friend calls me, my neighbor, the one I talked to just the night before. She calls me and she says, guess what? I looked on Facebook, which I never went to neighborhood Facebook ever, so I wouldn't see it myself. I looked at Facebook page and I saw that people just posted a house for rent. They are unexpectedly moving. They got a new job. They're moving to another state, and there is a house for rent. And the thing is, the house for rent is literally across 2 streets, very close to from where I lived, where my house was. And the second one was a miracle because the rent was exactly as I specified, made up in my mind the night before. And they didn't advertise, so it was only on Facebook. That very day, so the neighbor says, go and check it out. So that day, I went, I looked at it, it was perfect, and it was our house. But there was another miracle, because everything what I said, as I mentioned before, happened in February. And in February, I was so busy planning my event. I was so tired from all what I was going through divorce, right? As I mentioned, I was selling the house, as I mentioned, plus I was organizing the life event, and it was in person. So it was a lot of components I had to go through. And I didn't have energy or time, or as they say, bandwidth generally, to add additional stuff, to add the moving on top of everything else. And I knew my life event was scheduled for April 1st. But imagine you are in February. And by the way, the offer was made and accepted in February. And you know pretty well, I'm sure, that once it's done, everything is going fast, and then you have to move out. And with rentals as well, when you like something and accept it, you need to move in very fast if the house is ready. Well, the miracle was the person who was buying my house said, I cannot move in now. I can only move in April, after April 1st. Wow. And then the rental house, the people said, we cannot move out now. We're moving to the another state on April 1st. So I could move on April 2nd, because my event was April 1st. After I finished with my event, I was moving that day. So April 2nd, I was moving. And then on April 6th, I closed on the house, sold the house, and moved out. So everything happened in an amazing way. I still had to work. I still had to take the steps to organize, to plan, to create, to execute, but it was all divinely guided. It was all divinely protected. I mean, how could you possibly see what I'm saying right now, but I'm doing it in an interesting way, in a celebratory way. How could you possibly find people like that when the person says, I can only move in April? These people say, you can only move in April. And I'm saying, I can only move in April. So that was amazing. That was miraculous. And I knew that was not my making. That was divine guidance. And I followed divine guidance to the T, and the miracle happened. And the house, and by the way, when God guides you and gives you divine guidance, it's always win-win. Here is the teaching point for you. It will never be lose and win, because this is not the human way. The human way, the ego way, is usually somebody loses, somebody wins. In this case, there is no way. It's win-win for everybody. So these people got a very good tenant, I'm proudly saying, because it's been an experience like that. This person got a great house in great condition, almost new, and I got a very nice place to live in. I stayed in the same neighborhood, and I had the rent that I just made up in my mind the night before. So see, that's the story. And I have so many stories like that. And I will continue sharing my stories with you over these lessons. So stay tuned, right?